Hello crafty friend, it's Justine. Welcome to today's video. It's the stitched update video for July, which is always super exciting when I remember to make one each month. And I hope you are prepared. You may need like a water or a coffee or a snack or something. This video is going to be a long one, just putting it out there. I have a stack over here. Let's see, I measured maybe about 1.5 inches of cards that I have been stitching. And now I need to finish them up and make them into beautiful cards and not just stitching projects. So I'm going to be using, with the stitching, glimmering, wax sealing, die cutting, Copic coloring, and anything else? I don't think so. Oh, embossing. Just all the things, all the fun things. So I guess I don't have anything that's better pressed with this, but you know, maybe I will do that for August. We shall see. Anyway, I am just super excited because I stitched all of these on vacation, which was such a joy. But now it's even more exciting to put them together and make final products. So for this first one, I'm using, oh, and by the way, all of the products below I'm going to link by card. So it will just go in order of appearance. So this will just be the blue oval wax seal card is what I'll call this one. It'll be the first one. The things I'm using are from my stash. Some of them are new for this month. Some of them are older. This oval die is an older die, and I guess it is now discontinued, which makes my heart really sad because I just love this die. But maybe you have this die in your collection. And if you wanted to recreate it, I suppose you could use the stitching die, but if you don't have the stitching die, you could use a regular oval and get maybe some stitched flowers and make a similar card. Now, this little bundle of flowers is part of the new collection that just came out from Spellbinders. That's the Sealed for Summer. This die is perfect for accompanying wax sealing because it just is like the perfect place for the wax seal to land on the project. So I'm just gonna gently set them down right about here. And the tails, of course. Oh boy, glue all over my fingers. Well, I know I'm crafting if I have glue on my hands. Okay, then for the big flower, I'm going to put this light blue and I'm going to offset it so that teal still shows through, just to make it look a little more full. And then for this little half flower, I'm going to put the teal down first, which I suppose isn't quite necessary since there's already teal there, but I don't know, dimension. Maybe I'll just push it down so it looks like there's 2 rows. And then this light blue piece is going to go right over. I'm going to take this beautiful wax seal and just put it right on the flowers on the stem. And this For You really pops because I used a metallic paint pen, silver metallic paint pen, and just put that right on the raised areas of the wax seal. So it really does have quite a pop right there. Oh, I just love that. Okay, now that I picked up my card, I can see that I have some blue peeking out on the edge. So as I am pressing my seal down, I'll just give that blue a quick trim and we'll move on from there. Now, since I have so many cards today, I'm going to do some of the embellishments off camera just because I would be sitting here putting a little dot on all of these flowers and the video would be like 3 hours long. So I'm going to do some embellishments right now, like this one. I'm going to put on this big flower area. Oh, yes, that looks so pretty right there. And then I will do some of the smaller embellishments off camera, and at the very end I will show you what they all look like. So stay tuned and you hopefully will not be disappointed. And I also will not be putting these on card bases on camera, again, to save a little time since I have a stack. Oh, also be on the lookout for your favorite. I really love knowing favorites when I do card videos because it helps me make more content and If there's a certain color that you like, I may reach for that next time a little bit more than other colors. It just is a thing. Okay, now this panel is just a little too big, so I'm just going to cut it down to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. That way it doesn't stick out of the edges of this. But I used that same oval die that I used in the first card, and I actually die cut out the whole card base. So the front is the die, which is kind of fun to stitch this way, just a little different. And I'm going to have this panel go behind here so it peeks out. But I also have this glimmered tulip image that I'm going to sneak in here, and it will go, come on, right about there. Isn't that pretty? I just love it. Oh, this was an extra glimmer piece that I just had in my stash on my desk that I had glimmered, and I did not color it. And then when I saw this periwinkle paper, I just knew that this was going to be the match for this whole piece. I'm just going to sneak some glue down like that and just have it catch it enough for it to hold. It's not really going to be like going to war or anything, so I don't need to get it ready for treacherous times. Okay, that looks perfect like that. And then I am going to add this glimmered sentiment that says, "You are simply amazing." This sentiment, if my memory serves me correctly, is from the Seahorse Kisses collection. I think that was with, oh, I can't remember her first name. Her last name is Holsegel. Oh, this is gonna bug me. I know her. Kristen, I'm so sorry. Miss Holsegel in Spellbinders. So I think that collection was just such a fun one, and I actually have a Seahorse that I'm going to be using in just a little bit here. So I loved that collection. I made a lot of Under the Sea cards and just really enjoyed it. But this sentiment, "You are simply amazing," can be used in non-aquatic cards. So I really like this one. And I think I'm going to pop up this sentiment with some foam squares. I oftentimes will have leftover glimmered pieces like this sentiment and the tulips, because when I am getting into my crafty modes, I like to just kind of go to town and glimmer a whole bunch of things or stamp a whole bunch of things and then just kind of see what works with my eye. So I end up with a lot of leftover pieces, which is perfect because sentiments I can always use, and even these big flowers, the tulips here, I can use again and again. Now I'm pretty sure the tulips were part of a monthly glimmered club, so I'm not sure if those are still available. Again, anything that is available I will link below by card, so you can check all of that out in the description. This one I will be adding some bling around the edge as well. This one is more of a demure, more simple card. I always am needing sympathy cards for friends and family, so unfortunately. So I love to have stitched ones on hand just because they are a little bit more of an effort card. So I love having them around. And this pattern paper was from I think it just said pattern paper. I say that all the time and I usually edit it out, but I'm leaving it in. The patterned paper is from a card kit of, I think this was a Christmas one. And I'm gonna mat it on some kind of like brown, mustard brown cardstock there. And then put my little oval. And this oval again is from those discontinued ovals, which my heart is so sad about that those are discontinued, but you can probably get a similar look with a oval die and some stitched flowers. This one I don't think I'll be adding bling to, just because it is a sympathy card and the stitching is a little bit cheerful, so I'm just going to leave this one as it is. But very sweet, a kind sympathy card. I'm pretty sure the stamp set, I'm going to put this in another pile. The stamp set that I used for this one, where is that from? I will have to check on that and maybe get back to you. I know it was not Spellbinders. I think maybe it's from scrapbook.com. I'm just not sure. This card was made with the stitching die it's actually from a Christmas stitching die collection, but to me it can be used for anything. And then I'm using this Just a Note Glimmered Sentiment that is from Simon Hurley and Spellbinders that released last month, and those sentiments are just perfect for adding to my cards. So I glimmered a ton of them. I don't know, probably I think there's 7 on the plate, and I did that maybe about 7 colors. I think I did gold and pink, moon dust. I did a whole bunch. I suppose it's kind of hard to estimate when I'm not sure, but yeah, I did a whole bunch. Is all you really need to know. So love those sentiments. Oh my, this is what I was talking about before, this adorable Seahorse. I glimmered this with the rainbow glimmer, just fun. Now I used my scan and cut to cut this out, and for whatever reason it cut this weird hole right here, so I didn't use it on my initial video, but I can hide that hole with my stitched oval frame here. So I'm going to do that, and I'm actually going to use some double-sided tape and just hold down my Seahorse like this. Nothing fancy, and then that will get my placement for my Seahorse. And then I'm going to use my liquid glue and put this on. I like to use liquid glue when I have stitching cards because the stitching cards are a little more bulky, and I find that glue, especially this Barely Art liquid glue, definitely holds it pretty well. Okay, then I'm going to put it on this bright aqua color. Oh, that is so pretty. Oh, I love it. This is such a cheerful card, and the way that the light hits the glimmer is just stunning. Then with this card, I'm definitely adding some bling because it is so pretty that it needs bling, even more bling. I'm going to add the Sentiment Starfish Wishes and Seahorse Kisses, which is from the same glimmer collection as the Seahorse itself. Again, I will link that in the description for you. I just love that you can use that glimmer plate of the Seahorse and you don't even need to color it, and it has this wow factor because of the stunning glimmer foil. The stunning glimmering that's on there. It just is beautiful. Gorgeous. All right, again, this is my pile that needs glimmer. So far, all of them are getting some glimmered areas. Okay, now this one, I wanted to do something that was a little more out of the box. I don't do a lot of red and black, but I thought I should because I wanted to have a anniversary card on hand. And then I was stitching these numbers, and I got to the number 50, and I thought it would be smart to have a 50 wedding anniversary card on hand because I know a few people that are hitting that number soon. So I actually took a scrap piece of paper. I don't even know where this came from, but I liked the cream on the other side. So again, used my oval die to cut out. They're not, all of my cards today are not with this oval die, just several in the beginning here, but I used it to cut out the ovals and ended up with this gorgeous shaped area. If you're not aware, Spellbinders does have stitched numbers as well as stitched letters. So I used the 50, so the 5 and the 0, to make this card. I just thought that it would be so fun to add a number die to this video. So I saved this one for today. And because I stitched on this And the stitching is rather bulky. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I did not split my thread here, so it's kind of chunky. You can see there. So the top part definitely needs a little bit of foam squares just to keep it all one level. I'm almost wondering if these are too tall, but I guess we'll see. I'm just gonna layer that right onto the background piece for the 5 like that. And yes, those are a little too tall. So now I'm gonna grab my other squares. These are also from Spellbinders. These are the small ones. And then I think I'll put the small ones underneath the bottom parts of this 5. And then I'll do the same thing to the 0. I love that that has like a shadowed look to it because it's sitting up on the red. That is so cool. Okay, time to do it to the 0 too. I'm going to use all sorts of dimension on this one. I also have this beautiful glimmered sentiment that says happy anniversary. I am going to pop this up as well. I'm going to pop it up and go right on the center on the bottom. Oh, that is so pretty. And then I am going to add some foam to the numbers as well and pop those up again. I know we're just using all the dimension today. This glimmered sentiment is so beautiful. I use it for a lot of the anniversary cards that I make just because it just looks so timeless and elegant with that beautiful cursive penmanship here. I just love it. So that is one that I go to quite often. So I will link that in the description as well. You don't have to be perfect like what you see on YouTube. Trust me, no one is a perfect crafter and no one is good at it right off the gate. That's just how that is. No matter how much of an art brain people have, you're not just good at card making right away. You gotta practice and you're gonna make some mistakes. Okay, this one definitely calls for some bling, so that's going in the bling later pile, which again, I will show you at the very end. Now, this one, I combined a few different things. We have stitching, we have glimmering, and we have embossing. Wow, I think I need a little water or something to get my brain going again. But this one was really fun to stitch. This is one of my favorite stitching dies. I'll link it in the description. I think it's called something Fanfare, Stitched Card Front Fanfare or something like that. But it is just like such a wow die, and it can be used for really any occasion. I've made a lot of birthday cards with it. I've made thinking of you, cancer support, etc. And this one is going to be kind of like a more neutral birthday card for just really anyone. I don't have a plan for this one or one person that I was thinking of at the time, but a stitch card like this calls for a special recipient, so I'm sure the occasion will arise. All right, just a light glue there. Again, I'm going to put this on a card base off camera later, but for the sake of time, we're just going to keep it moving. I've gone through quite a lot of cards now, so my pile is getting smaller, but it is still a pile. So there's that. I'm going to pop up this sentiment. This one is, I think this is from the mailbox that was released last fall, if I remember correctly. It's just a fun glimmer plate. It says confetti enclosed, it's your birthday, which I always, always, always think of The Office when I read this sentiment, because it's your birthday. It reminds me of when Dwight was planning for a birthday party and he put on the wall, "It is your birthday, period." Very, not very festive at all, but it was a moment, and I smile when I think about it. So this glimmer plate reminds me of that silly moment. So there you have it. Okay, I'm going to put this one off to the side to dry, and this is going to go in the not bling category. All right, my next one is again a Sympathy card. This one is kind of a darker blue and white and gray card, which I think is appropriate for a sentiment card, not a sentiment card, a sympathy card, because sympathy can be kind of at some low points in people's lives, or at least some sad times, so I think that's appropriate to have it be blue. And this pattern paper came from a card kit. Anytime I finish a card kit, I do save all of that pattern paper. I'm not just tossing it into the abyss of my craft room, which, you know, sometimes you do, but it's good to go back and use what you have, shop your own stash, if you will, which is what I love doing with these stitching dies, and just kind of getting inspired by your own stash. This patterned paper has a whole bunch of just sweet words on it, like kind, timeless, marvelous, grateful, heartfelt, etc. So I think that that is, again, appropriate for a sympathy card, because usually if you're sending someone a sympathy card, you are sympathizing with their loss of a loved one. So I think those words definitely are appropriate. I think I might add some tiny pearls to this one. So it's going in the bling category, but it's not going to be inappropriate bling. Okay, now on this card, I already put it on a card front because this I was going to use on a different project, and for whatever reason I did not. So this is the 3D embossing folder, I think for January. Wow, it's an older one, but I will link it in the description if it's still available on the Spellbinders website. Usually those are discontinued unless they are super duper popular and they bring them back, but no promises. Anyway, this is the center of this other die here, not from the same piece of paper, but it comes from that Stitched Fanfare die, and I'm going to put it kind of centered. I'm going to put it a little wonky too. Anyway, I stitched the edges, and then I put this white piece of paper right in the center, and then I have this glimmered sentiment that says thinking of you, again from Simon and Spellbinders. I just love this font, and it's a really handy little glimmer sentiment set to have. Thinking of you. Oh, that is so pretty. I used the magenta foil on this one, and it really just pops. And to make it pop even more, it's going to go in my bling area. Back to Sympathy. I know, a lot of Sympathy cards, but bear with me, if you will, because I do have some really fun cards coming up too. But this one is really pretty because I used a whole bunch of neutral tones to make this Sympathy card. Again, sometimes I'm giving a Sympathy card to a family or and it really doesn't call for like a hot pink Sympathy card, you know, unless I think the occasion for that would be a very unique situation. So I think having a more demure, neutral Sympathy card is a good thing to have on hand. And just as I thought I might need to trim this edge just a little bit. Okay, now I did put down my tape runner, but I am going to sneak a little glue behind the stitching area. You guys, this stitching was just a hot mess express, but the front looks gorgeous, so don't worry if you have stitching that looks just like a rat's nest in the back. Ugh, that is such a rough term, but you kind of get what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be pretty on the back because no one will see it. You're just going to glue it down and it will be just beautiful from the front, just like mine. So no worries at all. I just keep going back to this border sentiment, this border die all the time because I think it is so pretty and elegant, and it is just a fun one to stitch. And you can see I used gray, brown, and this minty green and made an earthy toned Sympathy card. So fun. No bling for this one. We're going to keep it neutral. All right, are you ready for this one? This was a crazy one. I remember distinctly my mindset when I was stitching this one. I was in the car and we were going back from vacation. Usually I get rather car sick when I am not driving. So it was kind of a surprise that I was able to stitch in the car as my husband drove, but I was able to do it. I don't know. It was a miracle. But I had this really fun pattern paper that was in my craft room. I don't know where it was from, but it has this like splatter paint look to it, which I thought was super fun. And because I had this piece, it inspired all the colors on this card. So when we were driving, I was just kind of having fun with my dear husband, and I was getting kind of wild with my color choices here, but it all coordinates because of that pattern paper that is in the center. So just kind of a spunky card. And then we're going to kind of cover up some of that splash with this white area. That's going to go right in the center. And then I'm going to finish it off with a really pretty glimmered sentiment. And I think this one will get bling because why not? We already have a lot going on. This one says sending hugs, and I think this would be fun for even a birthday card. You can send a hug for a birthday. That's just fine with me. Oh, that is so cute. The hot foil that I used for this one was called Moon Dust, which is one of my absolute favorite glimmer colors. Oh, that is so cute. All right, this is going in the glimmer pile. All right, and I have one last card to show you before I pause and glitter up these and just go crazy. This is a Christmas card, and yes, I know I've had a lot of Christmas cards on my channel recently, a lot of stitching ones. So if you are interested in Christmas stitching, check out some of the recent videos that I've put up. Even yesterday, I put up a video with the little Santa Claus die from the Classical Christmas collection that Spellbinders put out this month, and made a really cool scene with the bottle brush trees and peppermint candies. So if you're interested in Christmas stitching, you're going to want to check out some of my recent ones. Oh, and the sweaters and the poinsettias and the snowflakes and the ornaments. I mean, there's just a lot of stitching, which is always my favorite time of year when Spellbinders releases their Christmas stitching. And this year it was called Stitched for Christmas. I think last year was Stitchmas Christmas. Say that 5 times fast. And anyway, I just love this time of year because we get all those awesome stitching dies, and I am going to make a ton of stitching ornaments this year. I've just decided it, and I'm going to do it. I just have to figure out the time to do it. But I don't know. We'll just see. Anyway, it's now time to bling up this pile, so I'm going to do that off camera. I've actually been watching old reruns of Murder, She Wrote. You guys, if you have not watched that show, you've got to. Angela Lansbury plays the main character, and she is just fabulous, and I love the style of those shows. So if you're interested, you can check that out on Amazon Prime. That's really what I've been watching in my craft room recently. So it's very, it's not gory either, even though it's called Murder, She Wrote. It's very TV appropriate, happy-go-lucky. I think it's rated G, so just saying. Anyway, I will be right back, and with the magic of video editing, it will be in seconds. After 20 minutes of Murder, She Wrote and gems, I'm all set to show you my finished product. On this one, there's tiny little blue gems in the center of the flowers. Hopefully you can see that there. Again, be on the lookout for your favorite. This one has tiny little pearls. Again, pearls, a little bit bigger on this one. Here's the 50th wedding anniversary. I put little golden flowers on the center of the stitched areas. This one I went on theme and I kept blue on the edges, and then this like goldy brown red, I don't even know, color on the teal areas. The Sympathy one, we have pearls. This Just a Note one, I went with like a goldy brown gem. On the Seahorse, I did a purple blue pearl. On this one, I used very tiny navy blue, more like a cobalt actually, cobalt blue gem. And then of course the three that did not have any bling are this one, would be this one, and the confetti one, and the last Sympathy card. Oh, so many cards. Let's see, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think that's 11. 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What? 5, 10, 12. Yes, 12 dies. Yes, 12 cards. Anyway, let me know your favorite in the comments. I'd say I have a 3-way tie for my favorites. It would be these 3, just because they're a little bit different and they have a little more oomph to them with the glimmering and the wax seal. So these are my top 3 favorites, with a close 4th place going to this beautiful anniversary card, which I find so gorgeous. And I would love to live to be able to have a 50th wedding anniversary. That would be just amazing. So anyway, let me know your favorites in the comments. Thank you so much for sticking with me this month of July. I know I've had a lot of Christmas cards, so if Christmas is not your thing, hopefully this card video was able to inspire you and kind of give you a little inspiration for some card making, for some stitching. Anyway, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye!